everybody. It's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And we are doing our Christmas movies for the year. Even though it's almost over, Christmas isn't over for us. And we are reviewing a movie that's probably not very well known, at least the older version. And I just found it. I've never seen it, never heard of it. It's called Christmas Eve. It came out October 31st, 1947.
It came out on Halloween?
Yes, it did.
What the fuck?
And it was also remade in 1986, which is very current, but I have never heard of that one either. So,
I saw that one on YouTube.
yeah,
It's some sort of a shitty TV movie.
it doesn't look good. In fact, I bet you anything this one's better, but
Yeah.
that's saying a lot. Okay, well, what it's about is Matilda, a rich older lady who is played by a lady named Anne Harding, is about to become declared incompetent by her nephew Philip, Reginald Denny, because he says she is spending her money unwisely. What we don't know and don't discover until the end is that he just wants the money for himself to spend, quote, unwisely or possibly, quote, criminally. But we don't discover that until the end, like I said. Although it's not too hard to determine that he is a shady character who just wants it all for himself. Okay. She also has, we find out, 3 adopted sons, now grown men, who must show up to prove her veracity / sanity on Christmas Eve, or else that nephew of hers can just say otherwise and take everything that doesn't belong to him. Why Christmas Eve? Because that date falls into the deadline period for whatever court action needs to be taken. And also because it probably helped get people to watch the movie, because really there's really not much to do with Christmas in the movie.
Well, they have a big Christmas party at the end.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, compared to all these Hallmark movies, you would never know it was even December.
Well, this movie is a real movie, not a Hallmark movie, Safi, so.
I know, but it's just so different from that kind of thing. So Matilda swears up and down on these boys. They're all good people. And of course, they will show up to prove her right. Unfortunately, Michael, played by George Brent, the first boy, and they're really grown men, they're not boys, young men at all, he owes $75,000 and seems to be bad with his money. He acts weak and mealy-mouthed. As far as owing $75,000, I only learned that on the internet, because his story confused me so much. And like him was mealy-mouthed, I had a hard time following it. His girlfriend, Ann Nelson, is played by Joan Bondell. She really loves him, though, and tries to steer him towards his mom, because all the money troubles and what the nephew's doing, it's in the paper, because she's so wealthy. His story, as well as his brother's, Mario's, played by George Raft, is also hard to follow. Mario has become involved with some Nazi. Now remember, this is 1947, and he's in South America, and a lot of Nazis escaped to South America, to Brazil, and other places. And anyway, I couldn't follow it. I don't know. He took his money. He took George Raft, Mario, took his money, or he hid it, or his girlfriend hid it. I don't know. So that's how confusing it was. Anyway, the FBI wants him, and they know about his mom, and I think that they're nice enough to allow him to go see her. So he's on his way. He's trying a way to see her, but also he's getting messed up with the Nazi guy who wants his money. So I'm just not really clear about the whole thing, but the FBI wants him, I know that, and so does the Nazi guy, and so either one's going to get him. So it seems like Michael and Mario's storylines just bounced around like ping pong balls, like I said, and were hard to follow. Now, we come to the last boy. His name's Jonathan. He's played by Randolph Scott. And his story, although it's very simple, it's like a breath of fresh, minty air. It's easy to understand. He's a rodeo, buck-riding cowboy, and is totally laid back, lovable, and kind. He's pulled off the street by some woman undercover operator who investigates illegal baby adoption agencies. She involves him unknowingly into posing as her husband. He just thinks it's kind of a game, and she's kind of a little nutty. Once Randolph Scott enters the scene, the movie becomes a lot better. And I liked the movie. What I liked most about the movie was his character, because he wasn't complicated. He was just easygoing and friendly. Okay, Mark, why don't you talk about it? I know you just love this movie, not?
Well, this is the movie that Safi picked.
Yeah, I picked it just on a whim. Sorry.
I just wanted you guys to know that. I thought it was pretty bad. I mean, bad in terms of the fact that, like, 70% of the movie, I couldn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, see, Marco had trouble, too.
So it's like, how can I enjoy something if I don't even know what's going on? It was very boring, and the characters were not very likable, especially, you have... Well, I mean, I guess that the Matilda is fine, but she's really not... There's not much to her besides the fact... And we've seen that in real life, remember? Where a certain old person wasn't...
Yeah, and it pisses me off, too, because if for one thing it's sexist, number two, it could have been a man, too, and it still would have been driving me crazy.
No, I'm talking about there was a certain old person who was not spending their money wisely.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying, but then
but
you have these...
You're saying it's sexist.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't
but
like... It could be either one, a male or a female.
But
it would be wrong.
It is realistic that could happen, though, where there's a relative who isn't spending their money wisely.
Right.
But in this case, I really didn't feel anything for her. And then you have other characters. First off, you got stereotypical 1950s boring mustache man who's like, I'm mustache man. I walk around wearing a suit all the time because I'm a gentleman guy and I'm really something. And then you have boring ladies man 1950s stereotype.
George Raff.
I wear a suit and I have specially oiled hair.
Now he had a dinner jacket on.
And I wear
just a suit.
I wear like a special jacket and I do that stupid ass thing in old here's a huge pet peeve of mine in regards to old movies. Whenever people are holding a gun, they're always holding it at their stomach. Right, Safi? You notice that?
I don't even...
they hold their gun down here. Look.
Yeah.
When they're standing up. And it's like, there's such a limited mobility.
Yeah, it's like they're frozen.
And it's like, it's so stupid to see that where, like, someone's... Because in reality, you hold your gun up by your shoulder, and so you can move it around. You can't see what I'm doing, but you can... But, like, all these people in these old movies, they hold their gun by their stomach, and it's so retarded looking. And it just looks terrible. And it's just... It's so irritating. That's one of my biggest old movie pet peeves. Not the usual pet peeves people talk about, but I really get sick of seeing that with the whole stomach gun business, because it's like, it's just clear that these are actors who don't know how to handle guns. They've never fired a weapon in their life. They beat their wives probably, but they don't fire any guns or anything like that, so they're just doing this stupid looking thing. It just looks, ugh. And then you have the third guy, and now here's the thing. I said 70% of the movie was incomparable. Or
Incomprehensible?
Yeah, incomprehensible. But then when the cowboy hat guy comes in, he's actually really good, and he's a good actor. He's charismatic. He's a good character, and as soon as he comes on, the movie automatically gets better. And then the ending is fine, but
it's a surprise ending.
The best part of the movie was just the sequence with him. And I'm sorry, but that's not a very good movie in my opinion. I would never watch it again. I wouldn't recommend people watch it. And so I don't know what you could say to make it seem like this is a good movie. Let alone a good Christmas movie, because I mean, Christmas Chronicles 2 was a million times better than this, Safi.
Well, it's a real Christmas movie. I only think, and they do this even in books, because I read a lot. I read at least 1 book to 2 books a week. And what they do in a book or a show is they'll tack on the word Christmas somehow, and so it gets classified into the Christmas movie category, but it really isn't. And so the only reason why the only reason why they had Christmas Eve, because this was a deadline that they would declare her incompetent, or set up hearings to declare her incompetency. And knowing the way it was back then, or even now, they probably would have declared her incompetent for no good reason.
When I saw the title, I thought, like anyone else would think, that the whole movie takes place on Christmas Eve, and it just takes place in that one house with like people talking. And nope, it's like this weird anthology type thing where first you have the old woman, then you have mustache man who's
Michael,
annoying and just unwatchable, and then you have
Mario,
guy holding gun by his stomach, and then you have cowboy hat guy, and then you have some of the old lady and all of them at the end, and it's like, this movie's trash. It's better than Shock, though. Remember Shock, Safi?
Yep. It's one of our Halloween movies.
No, it was for Vincent Price Week.
Oh yeah, Vincent Price Week. Well,
Safi
he equals Halloween.
Safi picked that one out too.
I like picking out obscure things, because sometimes you might find a hidden gem in the rough.
Well, you have to keep on picking until you pick a good one, but that doesn't mean these movies are good.
Well, I don't have enough time to preview them all. That's the problem.
Because I picked out Road Games, and that movie was really good.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, anyway, all 3 guys did manage to make Matilda's house.
As if you care.
And the cowboy brings 3 surprises. I won't say anything about what they are in case you want to know.
That was really weird.
Yeah.
The cowboy hat guy, he could probably have his own movie. I mean,
he probably had a lot of his own movies.
Oh, I don't know, because there have been some surprises, like with people this year. We really like them in the movies that they're in, and then we look them up on IMDb, and they're not in anything.
No, I think this guy, I don't know about the first guy.
He's
an Irish actor,
mustache
apparently.
man.
But I know that George Raft was in, I think, like bad guy movies, like he played a gangster. And
I don't like him either. He's so
maybe
bad.
A romantic.
Ugh.
And then the other guy, I think he was just in all kinds of different movies.
And then
it's hard to say.
The actresses,
post-World War II.
The actresses were so bad that, like, I can't even, like, talk about them because I don't even remember them.
Well, Joan Blondell.
I mean, they weren't even attractive looking.
She had been around for a million years. She'd been in a lot of stuff. I actually remember her.
I haven't seen any of that stuff, and
well,
so therefore it must not be good.
She's been dead a long time, so.
God,
so anyway, like I said, they managed to show up, and the cowboy guy brings 3 surprises, and of course they verify her sanity, And if it's found out, of course, like I said, that Philip has been spending some of her money. Now, how he got it, I don't know. If you're if what do you call it?
And Philip was trash too. That's another
he was
thing.
Terrible.
Is that the villain was trash too?
He was very weak.
He had
another mealy mouth.
He had no motivation. He had no character at all. And to me, I think that once again, this movie just does not work at all.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what a remake of it would be, or that it would be any better, because I just don't know what you could do to make it better, unless you made a whole movie about the cowboy guy.
Oh, no.
I don't know either. But anyway, I had a hard time. And what I decided on was every year and I've probably talked about this before, for Christmas Eve, we have a Swedish dinner, because my husband is Swedish. His part Swedish. His father's parents were both from Sweden, off the boat, and so he grew up with this stuff, and he recreates it. In fact, I think he's the only one in his family to do so. So we had he makes meatballs, Swedish meatballs, and potato sausage, which is gross, brown beans, and then he buys herring. Of course, we can't fish for it here, so he buys it and fillets, and then he cuts it up and pickles it. And it's pickled herring. And then I make rice pudding and rum pudding, and we buy limpa bread and Bondo's cheese, which is a white cheese, and
no, it's a yellow cheese.
Well, this one looked really white.
Well, it was white this year, and it was terrible.
It was too salty. And then we buy a jar of Lingonberries, which are very rare and hard to get, and they're from Sweden. They only grow them in Sweden. It's only grown a certain time of the year, and it's all special conditions, like weather-wise, and so anyway, they're nice. They're really good.
So what's your point, Safi?
My point is that there were only like 2 things that were any good out at the dinner. The rest was terrible. And what were those 2 things? I think the limpa bread was passable this time for some reason. It tasted very good and mild, and the lingonberries were good, and then the rice pudding was good, and that was it. Everything else was terrible. And we even bought a jar of pickled beets, which I really liked, but it was a different kind. It tasted like soap. So you have this whole meal, as a meal, a smorgasbord, which is what the Swedes call it. It wasn't very good, but there were a couple things that stood out, and that's kind of like this movie where the cowboy stood out as being really good, and the rest of it wasn't so good. So that's how I compare it in terms of food. So how about you, Marco? What did you decide?
Well, to me, I think that it's like a very, very, I don't know, it's what would you call it, where it's like there's nothing there, like there's like hardly anything there. What would you call that, Safi?
It's invisible.
No, like there's not much there. Like it's pared down, or like it's
been highly edited.
Well, no, it's like there's not enough stuff there.
Well, there's not enough content.
No, there's some word for it, but you're not. I don't think you know any words, so.
Yeah, right. I'm a writer who doesn't know any words. Who doesn't know any words?
But it's like when you have a lunch, and then the lunch gets ruined, or the lunch is gross. There's something in it that's bad, and so then you don't have anything to eat for lunch. And so you just eat like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or like a big pile of shitty saltine crackers or Ritz crackers with cheese or peanut butter, and it's like, ugh, this is not lunch. I don't want to eat crackers and cheese for lunch. Ew. it's a snack and there's nothing there to it, and it's like, it's like you might as well just starve yourself, or I don't know. It's like there's nothing there to latch onto. You know, it reminded me a little bit of I gave the same grade kind of to Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy years back. I gave that movie like stale crackers and cheese. But with this movie, I don't think the crackers were stale. I just think they're just very boring. And it's like, you know, it's just not a good meal. And to me, you know, I was excited because I thought, you know, it says Christmas Eve. It could the poster looks cool and colorful, and you know, it's an old movie, so that means there's not going to be any stupid ass feminazi agendas or something like that. You know, it's not going to be PC. It's going to be like an actual mature adult story instead of like this babyish PG-13 movies that come out nowadays. But you know, you watch the movie and it's like there's nothing there. It's like this shell of a movie. I mean, I can't even imagine the process of the writers who wrote this movie, because I mean, it's almost like they just, it's kind of like a Mad Lib movie, right, Safi?
I don't know. I think I know what you're talking about.
You don't know what
like
Mad Libs are?
I've heard of that. It's kind of like having a taco shell with no filling.
No.
Or just a beef.
Basically,
ground beef with nothing else on it.
Safi, Mad Libs is where you have a story and they take out all the nouns. And so you have to plug in all the nouns, and you just plug in random or crazy nouns. And it just makes up this nonsensical story that's like, you know, what is this? And it's like, you know, that's what this movie was. It was a mad-libbed movie of, I don't know. It's very confusing. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what Safi was thinking choosing it to watch. But it could have been good, so I don't know. But it just wasn't. It wasn't good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. The next movie we're going to review is Krampus.
Yeah.
A more modern. In fact, was it 2019 or was it even earlier?
And it was like 2016, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not 1947. Okay.
Well, I thought that would be an advantage that it's in the 40s.
I don't know. I don't know if that's an advantage, frankly.
It is.
I don't know.
Because they didn't have agendas.
Oh, well, in terms of that, I suppose so.
Because of the actors were actual good actors. They weren't these overprivileged, awful actors that we have nowadays who don't even act.
Or they complain about something that anybody would do. They're being paid. That's their job. To work out and look buff.
They're very privileged.
I don't like that.
Trash.
Since that's a job, you do your job. Like somebody else we know. He's had it for 4 years. Anyway, so we're going to be doing that probably tomorrow because we're both watching it today.
Yeah.
So, and then how many do we have after that, Marco? How many Christmas movies, or do you know right off the bat?
2 or 3 more.
Okay, well, we have 2 or 3 more, so that's it, everybody.
Please, what?
And don't forget to subscribe, or you can like us or dislike us, but make a comment. What do you think? Do you want to watch this movie? Do you want to just do it for, well, I'll say this tongue-in-cheek, for fun? It's kind of like collecting. Not everything that you have maybe in a collection is the best thing, the prettiest thing, the most valuable thing, but you keep it as part of collections. So if you're collecting Christmas movies and you don't want to watch any more Hallmark or Lifetime movies or any of the traditional ones, then watch something like this. But truthfully, it's not really a Christmas movie. So
yeah.
Anyway, goodbye. Everybody.